Hey everyone, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and I'm back with the Competitive Corner, covering a competitive game with no official solo or co-op mode. And today I'm looking at Altered TCG, a collectible card game. Good lord. And disclaimer that I bought a bunch of starter sets myself, but Asmodee sent me a set of booster packs for the newest expansion. Altered is a 1v1 card game where each of you controls a hero and has a unique deck. You can use starters or constructed. And you're using mana, which you build up from cards from your own hand, to play units and spells, and you're trying to, in a you go, I go format, beat out your opponent in these expeditions to advance these tokens through different terrain until they eventually meet to win you the game. So let's discuss 5 key things to know about Altered. So first, my number 5 point, which is the least important to know, but still important or I wouldn't include it, is the deck construction and the collectible aspect of the game. And this is a mix for my taste, but I'm not a big fan of CCGs, so it might vary for you. There are 6 factions in the game, and there is no faction crossover in deck construction. So if you're building a blue deck, you will only use blue cards, which is a positive thing in that deck construction is a lot simpler and more straightforward. But on the negative side, if you don't have a pretty big card pool to build from, you're going to be somewhat limited because every booster pack you buy is only going to give you maybe 2 cards for a given faction to build with. I also want to mention the rarity system. So there are common, you see the little white gem there, and blue rare versions of each card. And you might notice this character costs 1, and here are their stats. This rare one is just way better. Now, the way deck construction works is you can only include 15 rare cards in your deck out of at least a minimum 39 cards. So once you get enough cards and have a whole bunch of rares to pull from, it's not really like owning more rares makes you have a better deck. Now, all this is putting aside just the entire CCG model, which I hate. I find it very predatory and just kind of preys upon people's addictive natures. But if you're already into CCGs and you don't mind that, you know, the deck construction here works pretty well, again, except for the monocolor kind of limitations. And yeah, point 2 is the online stuff. And this is complicated. I'm going to call it a mix because some of the stuff is just getting implemented as I'm making this review, so I can't even like fully comment upon it. But every single card you'll see has a QR code. Blah. Maybe not the most beautiful thing, along with this great artwork. But what you can do is you can scan these cards into the app for the game. You can then port your decks into Board Game Arena and play with others. But things get a little weird with buying and trading and all the digital stuff. Because you'll see that there is a marketplace. This has just recently been fully implemented. They've been like promising it for, I think, a couple of years, and now it's finally happening, where you can buy and sell other people's cards. But you're only selling and buying the digital rights to the cards. So for example, I got a bunch of duplicate cards, like more than I would ever need to build a deck when they sent me the booster box. So I could sell my extra copies just digitally to somebody else. And I saw people are selling these cards for like 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents. But I would still have the physical extra cards. I don't send them anything. So if you just want to play on BGA, it makes it incredibly cheap and easy to kind of round out your collection, because you can just go on there and buy like all the cards you want to make your deck perfect for really not very much at all, like maybe $1 if you find the cheap options. But if I want to like actually give another physical player my cards, I was doing some searching. I couldn't figure out quite how it would work out. It seems like the easiest way to do it is for you to digitally sell like the QR code to them. And then along with the marketplace, they've implemented, depending on where you live, a print-on-demand service. So you can get them to print physical copies of the cards you bought the digital rights to. But it seems like if you don't mind the digital incarnation, if you want to play the game a lot on BGA more than physically, it's going to be a beautiful thing for you. Very easy to play, very easy to find a game. One of the cool mechanics, my number 3, full pro, I love it, is the reserve mechanic. I haven't seen this done before in a game, and I think it is such a cool way to complicate kind of hand size and card draw. So when you play a card from your hand, whether it's a unit going to one of the expeditions or a spell or what have you, it'll go to its place, but then units go away at the end of each round. So after they've contributed their strength to trying to move your tokens, they'll go away, but they don't just get discarded like in most games. They instead go to the reserve over here, where you can hold up to 2 people. So if you have too many, you have to discard some. And then in a future round, you can play them again from the reserve for this lower cost, or sorry, the second cost, which might be lower or higher for some characters. But then when they come out, they get what's called a fleeting token, and when they leave the expedition this next time, they go away entirely. They don't go to your reserve anymore. So basically, every card you play potentially gets a second life, and this opens up a lot of cool design elements for powers, because some characters have a hand which only activates when you play them from your hand. Some characters have this symbol, which means it only activates when you play them from your reserve, and you'll see the cost will vary for these characters. So yeah, it's a really cool mechanic that I've never seen before. Definitely impressed me about the game. Another core mechanic in the game is how you get mana, which is your resource for playing cards. And this I have seen before, but it's still a full pro because I just love this. I want all the games like this to have one. So in older games like Magic the Gathering, you would have lands and you could get mana screwed out of anything. And then you have games that are newer than that, like Hearthstone, the digital game, where you get more mana every single turn. But in Altered, it's a system just like Lorcana and Star Wars Unlimited, where each round you draw 2 cards and you add them to whatever your hand is, and then you can optionally take one of the cards from your hand and turn it into mana permanently. So you aren't going to have that card anymore, but you are slowly building up mana at a consistent rate while also getting your card draw. But eventually, when you have a whole bunch of mana, maybe you want to draw 2 cards and keep both of them. And yeah, like I said, this has been done before, but I just adore it. All the little tactical choices here. It's just a genius system. I'm not even sure which of those 3 games I mentioned first did it or something else, but I adore it. It is my favorite kind of mana generation and resource generation system in any CCG or card game like this. It's great. But finally, my number 1 detail about the game, a full-on pro, the most important thing to know, and I just love it, is the you go, I go play into these expeditions to try to win these places. So there's already a lot of delicious nuance, especially in the mid to late game, and like what you play and when you play lower cost cards, you can kind of wait and see what your opponent's going to do. Just kind of this really tense back and forth like knife fight over territory. And as these tokens advance, different terrain types become important. So characters that have different values for different terrains will gain more or less value, both for blocking your opponent and moving your own stuff forward. And there's even more wrinkles to the system, like there are permanent landmarks that usually don't do much for you the turn you play them, but they sit over here and keep on giving you bonuses over and over. But then you have to ask yourself, can you afford to let your opponent maybe get a big jump on you early, but then maybe you'll catch it up later with the bonuses you've gotten from those permanents? And all of this awesomeness is condensed into a playtime of maybe 15 minutes once you know everything. So you can just slam out a whole bunch of games online or in person. It's a great time. So overall, if you want to play a card game with a great mana system, with really tense, interesting card play, then Altered is awesome, especially if you want to try it out for free on BGA with the starter decks. But on the other hand, if you don't want to get into a CCG, if you don't want a CCG that's like digital and physical and just kind of weird, there are a lot of caveats here that make it difficult for me to recommend the game to too many people, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to buy more than what I already have. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.